Hafne, welcome back to Weekend Edition. This is Rehash, where we recap the big stories of the weekend. I actually want to go first.
Okay.
Because I felt very passionate about this series that I featured this week. It's about invasive species. So every day we featured an invasive species, and this is in conjunction with Invasive Species Awareness Week. So from February 21st through the end of the week, which is this weekend, we featured the little fire ant, the coconut rhinoceros beetle, the feral pigs, invasive plants, and the brown tree snake. And the theme of this week is invasive species is everyone's responsibility, so you should check it out online and find out more information about how you can help eradicate or control these pests that are affecting our economy, our health, and our environment. So, who's next?
All right, well, speaking of invasive species, people are preparing for the upcoming Festival of Pacific Art. So I met with a representative from the South Pacific Commission. She said one of the remaining issues to cover for FestPac, which is coming up, the biggest cultural event in the region, happens this May, is biosecurity. So they're looking at biosecurity, invasive species, also healthcare. You know, Zika has been in the news a lot lately, so they're aware of that situation and they're working on it. She said she's confident that they'll get that down pat. Also, I worked on a story about the Guam Memorial Hospital. We've been reporting this over and over again for the past several months. They've been behind in payments to the Government of Guam Retirement Fund. So finally, the fund is taking legal action against GMH to compel them to make those payments so they can recover those costs. So we'll have more on the story later on in the week.
And speaking of $1 million in payments, tax refunds, everyone always wants to know, when's it going to come out? Well, you know, this time last year, there was $3.1 million that was paid out for people who filed up to like January 15th. Well, as of for this year, anyone who's filed a refund hasn't been repaid anything yet. I think about 14,700 people have filed as of the end of January, totaling about $15 million. And 4,000 of that has been filed, but none of them have been paid out yet. But revenue tax did pay out some refunds this week. It was about 2.1 million, but it's for the people who filed late last year up to December 31st. So if you filed late or you had an error return and they fixed it, you got a refund, and that's about 2 million. But I guess the surprising part of the story is the Tax Refund Efficient Payment Trust Fund. We found out there was only $235 in the account. So I don't know who has that high amount of I never get that amount anyway, so that would be nice for me. But
do you like it?
But Adelie was saying, like, the question they shouldn't be asking is how much is in the actual account, but how much cash is available. So I guess as of now there was 2 million. Hopefully this time next week there'll be millions of more going out. So.
Okay. And Nestor had the most exciting story of the week.
I guess the work week ended with some excitement at the Guam International Airport Authority. A cargo plane from Asia Pacific Air had to make a very dramatic emergency landing at the airport. Apparently the nose gear would not engage, so they tried an initial landing, and if you see the video, it looks kind of strange to see a plane with only 2 back wheels and no front wheel. And so they tried that. It was unsuccessful, so they came back around and they made a successful landing the second time around. And there was no fire, and 3 people aboard. No one was injured. So kudos to the pilots. They did an amazing job. A very, very dramatic video. And so we had an interview with Chuck Atta, who is the executive manager of the airport, and he explained that, you know, typically they come in. There's a cargo plane that and the ARF, which is the Airport Rescue and Firefighter, were ready to accommodate any emergencies, and so they were on hand. He praised them and all of the responding authorities, and amazingly, he said that none of their normal operations were impacted. They have 2 runways, and so they dedicated that 1 runway for that plane to make that emergency landing, and so it came off without a hitch. So kudos to the pilot. And
kudos to them. And there was no interruption in airport operations, but I know a lot of the roads are closed down. It's a GovGuam payday, so maybe you felt that traffic. And if there's anything you want us to cover here on KUAM News, you can email us at reporters@kuam.com or message us on any of our social media platforms. Also,